Now, if you are hesitant to try new things, I will say that video sales letters are really the best of what already works. And so just imagine for a second here that you've done seminars, you've done workshops, maybe you've done steak dinners as a financial advisor. You know that if you can get somebody in the room and you can sit them down and you can go through that presentation for 30 minutes, for 45 minutes, then there's a high percentage of those people who go through that presentation who then want an appointment afterwards. Well, what if you could put that presentation into a video that they don't even have to come in for, that they can watch online? Maybe a smaller percentage would actually convert into appointments, but at the same time, a higher percentage might watch than might actually sign up and attend the seminar, the workshop, et cetera, right? So you take that same seminar workshop content and move it into the video sales letter format. Welcome to Daily Discovery Calls for Financial Advisors, the first and only show dedicated exclusively to helping entrepreneurial, growth-driven financial advisors book more discovery calls with qualified prospects every day of the week. I'm your host, Roy Furr, the Advisor CMO. Let's get into it. And you're back with another episode of Daily Discovery Calls for Financial Advisors. I'm Roy Furr. I'm the Advisor CMO. And in today's episode, we're going to be covering the best new marketing media for financial advisors. And I should put new in quotes here because while this feels very new in the financial advisor space, it is far from new for folks like me who've been around the marketing world for a while, especially direct response marketing, internet marketing. It's called a video sales letter. So what the heck is a video sales letter? I remember this was back in 2010, 2011. I was working in the investment publishing field with a company called Casey Research, founded by Doug Casey. And we were writing sales letters that, we would write about some new opportunity that they were covering in their publications, some specific investment. And we would write this long sales letter. We would write an email campaign around it and all that jazz. And then we saw that suddenly all these different firms were using a variation on that, where they basically took the text-based sales letter and they read it aloud on video with slides, basically PowerPoint slides that would go sentence by sentence through the sales letter, and that the person, the voice of the sales letter, was reading it as you were watching the words go by on screen. And there's been a lot of innovations to that, a lot of changes to that over the years. But basically, as soon as it happened, it gave a 10% to 100% bump in the performance of the same sales message, just moved to video instead of text. And these things were wildly effective at converting cold traffic into customers. I've worked on campaigns that drove tens of millions of dollars in revenue with a video sales letter at the core of it. Some have grown up into the 9 figures in terms of the amount of money generated from just a video. And this format really did change the game of online marketing starting around that time, around 2010, 2011. And for a while, basically every cold traffic funnel, every funnel where somebody was spending money and they were expecting they'd spend $1 on marketing, they would expect it to generate at least $1 in revenue with a new customer in tow. Those people, basically everybody out there, was driving traffic to these video sales letters. And they still do. In large part, a lot of the online marketing world that is having to convert is integrating some kind of video sales letter into the messaging that they're putting in front of their audience. Now, it's not quite as ubiquitous as it was at one point, but it's still this incredibly powerful, incredibly persistent media format that works for driving results online. So what are the advantages of video sales letters? Why do they work? One of the big things here is the forced consumption path. And so if you put text up on screen and somebody is reading it, they can scan it, they can skip to the bottom, they can bounce around within that text, and they don't get the full narrative arc of that text. And so if you have a message, a persuasive message that says, I'm gonna use a fairly simple formula or framework here, but here's this problem. Here's the experience that people have of the problem. Here's the symptoms of the problem. Here's why it's so important to solve the problem. Here's the solutions that people have tried that have not worked. And then here's what your solution needs to do in order to work, and take action to get that solution with me today. Like, if that's your framework that you're using, and somebody jumps around solution, maybe price, and then they look back at problem, they're not going to have the same experience of that message versus if they go through it in the order. And that's one reason why they're at least theorized to work as well as they do. Also, I will say that multimedia tends to engender higher trust. And what I mean by that is, if somebody maybe does see your face, if they hear your voice, if they hear that you're actually sounding congruent and you're actually sounding confident, you're actually sounding believable in the way that you present a message, there's going to be a higher trust that comes from that, from hearing a human saying the message versus from just reading it on the screen. It also is a type of on-demand marketing. Now, there's a lot of things online that are on demand in terms of the marketing, but it is a type of on-demand marketing that allows people to see and engage with and consume that marketing message exactly when it is most right for them. So rather than it being, for example, on a broadcast medium, it's something that shows up, they click an ad, they go to it, and it starts playing right away. And so those are reasons that that at least as far as we understand it, that video sales letters do work better than some other different types of advertising out there. But generally, like, the biggest advantage of video sales letters is that they do work better. They tend to work better. It tends to be a highly effective marketing medium. And while initially there was some novelty factor that just drew people in and had people responding at much higher levels just because you'd put a text message into sales letter, some of that novelty is worn off, but still the incremental lift that marketers often find from comparing the results of a video-based version of the text-based sales letter is that video-based version of the text-based sales letter will drive 10 to 25% higher response. Of course, your mileage may vary, right? But what I've seen is that to this day, video sales letters do tend to perform a little bit better than the same sales message put into a text message. So why are financial advisors, since, hey, this is Daily Discovery Calls for financial advisors, why is this not taken the financial advisory world and the financial advisor marketing world by storm? Why are financial advisors so slow to use video sales letters? Well, first thing I'll say is that financial services is not innovative. The industry as a whole tends to be fairly risk averse, and that's for better and worse. It is for better and worse. These video sales letters very much have an internet marketing reputation, and they're seen as like this scammy, scummy underbelly of marketing, right? That I will say, you need to separate out the industry from the media format. Infomercials, for example, have a certain reputation, but when you take a financial advisor's message and you put it on TV using the structure of an infomercial, meaning there's approximately 7 to 8 minutes of content followed by a short 60 to 90 second call to action, followed by 7 minutes of content, followed by 60 to 90 second call to action, followed by 7 minutes, 60, 90 second call to action. In those 3 segments, just like an infomercial does, and you present that content in that way, that can be a highly effective way to drive leads. I've seen that drive dozens and dozens and dozens of leads in a single week for different advisors around the country. So stepping beyond this internet marketing reputation and finding a way to adapt this media format to financial advisors, I think, is a smart thing to do, because you do risk getting left behind by the few brave financial advisors who are willing to try the different format, who are then going to start acquiring the customers that are going to be open to being acquired this way, the clients that are open to being acquired this way, that you don't acquire just because you're not trying the new format. Another reason financial advisors are slow to use video sales letters is because the economics of the whole business are good enough. And I'll put that in air quotes. The financial advisory business is just the economics of the business long-term is just off the charts. It's an incredible business to be in because the lifetime value is absolutely massive once you acquire somebody. And so you don't have to use the most innovative marketing methods in order to stay ahead of the ball in terms of things like media costs. But what we've seen across the board and, looking at the Kitsy's marketing survey report, looking at some other research on financial advisor marketing, is that the marketing efficiency ratio, which is the amount of money you spend on marketing compared to the revenue generated by new clients in a given year, the marketing efficiency ratio across the board for financial advisors is about 0.6, which means a dollar spent on marketing is only generating about 60 cents in new client revenue. And so economics may be good enough, but if you're able to use the innovative media formats that drive higher response, that may be what it takes to be able to push that marketing efficiency ratio over 1 and be able to invest in that kind of organic growth and client acquisition. I'll also say that nobody's truly leading the way or cracking the code. I've spoken to advisors who are like, yeah, I tried that, but like the marketers who are promising this is the next best thing are using copywriters from like India or people who are not as well versed speaking to American consumers or don't speak to American consumers in the same way. And so they're, while the idea of the format is good, their experience with it has been that it hasn't been quite as effective. And also I'd say that financial advisors have had success in lots of other places. So like when I started working with an agency a couple of years ago that was driving leads for financial advisors, they weren't doing this because they didn't have to. They had specialty in TV and radio, and they were doing online articles and direct mail and webinars and all of these different formats that have proven effective for financial advisors. Well, they were doing those and they didn't have to be using these innovative marketing methods, so that they weren't using VSLs. And even in my time with them, there was not a strong drive to tap into my experience of like 10 plus years doing video sales letters, speaking to investors for financial publishers. They weren't interested in tapping into that because we had TV infomercials for financial advisors. We had radio shows for financial advisors. We were doing direct mail. We were doing webinars. We were doing email marketing. We were doing all these different channels that were working. But that just meant that there wasn't necessarily a drive to try these new things. Now, if you are hesitant to try new things, I will say that video sales letters are really the best of what already works. And so just imagine for a second here that, okay, you've done seminars, you've done workshops, maybe you've done steak dinners as a financial advisor. You know that if you can get somebody in the room and you can sit them down and you can go through that presentation for 30 minutes, for 45 minutes, then there's a high percentage of those people who go through that presentation who then want an appointment afterwards. Well, what if you could put that presentation into a video that they don't even have to come in for, that they can watch online? Maybe a smaller percentage would actually convert into appointments, but at the same time, a higher percentage might watch than might actually sign up and attend the seminar, the workshop, et cetera, right? So you take that same seminar workshop content and move it into the video sales letter format or a webinar. Webinars can be highly effective ways to drive new clients, to drive new production for financial advisors. Well, you take the best webinar and you translate that content into this video sales letter format, adapting it to match the best TV show, the best radio show. Even think about your best one-on-one pitch. If you could sit down across from somebody and you could speak to them about the challenges that they're facing with financial planning, with coming up with their retirement plan, the challenges they're facing with a particular aspect of that, with maybe tax planning, with making their social security decision, all these different things that might come up in a specific one-on-one pitch, one-on-one conversation, and how you would essentially lay the breadcrumbs towards, hey, the next best step is to do this financial planning with one of our advisors. Well, that's what you can do in a video sales letter. In fact, you could have a bunch of different video sales letters that match those different conversations. The big difference here is instead of being a seminar, workshop, webinar, steak dinner, TV show, radio show, one-on-one pitch, it's delivered on demand online as a video to the person right at that moment where they are the most curious and most interested in getting whatever question is they have answered. So what goes into a powerful video sales letter? Well, they tend to be very topic focused. They tend to be focused on one of my marketing mentors, somebody that I worked with way back, is Mark Ford. He's number 2 person at the Agora financial empire of publishing companies, $1 billion plus publishing empire. And he teaches the power of one as a concept, that it's that the best, most effective marketing messages are very much focused on a single message that they're trying to deliver, a very focused, narrow message that they're trying to deliver. And so a powerful video sales letter is just like that. It's very topic focused on one specific topic. Again, like pointing from that topic towards the action that the person needs to take. It tends to be very conversational. It may speak in expert language. It may use specific jargon, but it's going to use that jargon in the context of what feels like a conversation between me and you, between the person who is presenting the video message and the person who is listening to it. They often tend to be very problem solution, especially for financial advisors. It's like, here's this problem. The problem is the topic, and the solution is coming in to talk to an advisor. They tend to have a very clear and powerful direct call to action saying, hey, the next best step for you to take, if we're getting to the end of this video and this is all making sense to you, the next best step is for you to schedule an appointment with a member of our team so we can turn this, generic content that's about a problem that you're facing into personalized advice that's actually going to help you implement this and get the benefits we've been talking about. A powerful video sales letter is also concise, but not short necessarily. I'm not saying you want to make it long, but it needs to be as long as it needs to be and no longer. It needs to be long enough to cover the bases, but short enough that it stays interesting. There's no video sales letter that's too long. There's only a video sales letter that's too boring, and thus people tune it out before they get to the end. And so it needs to be concise, but not necessarily short. In fact, some of the most, not necessarily for financial advisors, but in the financial publishing space, some of the biggest, most profitable video sales letters were have been well over an hour long. And they're just really good at grabbing and holding and maintaining that attention all the way up to the end when they get somebody to decide to respond, decide to pay money, decide to invest in whatever offer they are making. Now, there are proven frameworks for video sales letters. I will say it's a powerful media format, but it is not a magic pill. Like, it's not just, I'm going to put a video sales letter online, therefore I'm going to generate all the new clients and all the appointment requests, all the discovery calls that I can handle. It's not a magic pill, but it is a powerful media format. You need a good copywriter, somebody who is actually able to have this communication with your prospects. That's able to speak in language that both resonates with them and accurately represents the situation that they're in right now, financially and in the context of the economy, the markets, all of that, and that accurately represents the services that you're able to provide, that speaks to the desires, the needs of the marketplace and connects your messaging with that. You need somebody who understands the messages that move financial services clients and prospects to want to come on board to you. I will say that, these proven frameworks are inspired by effective sales letters, effective TV, effective webinar, effective copy in different media that's worked to drive appointments for financial advisors. It's like the same core messaging that works in different media just needs to be adapted and matched to the specific media that you are using. And one more thing about this is it's not just a video, it's actually a sales funnel or a marketing funnel, in the sense that there are very specific conversion steps that take place throughout. And so it's not just about having a video that you post on YouTube that people watch, although there is the potential there that could actually drive people to reach out to request an appointment with you. It's far more effective if you actually build up a specific framework, a specific set of web pages that people visit in order. So, for example, there may be things before the actual video sales letter page, but most often on the video sales letter page, there's the video itself, but underneath there is a specific call to action to the appointment scheduling or the application that somebody is going to be told by the end of the video that is the next step that they need to follow if they've been following along with the video sales letter and it makes sense. And so there's going to be this natural flow from, okay, I start watching this video. That's interesting. Okay, now they're telling me that I need to schedule a specific appointment. I need to schedule a specific strategy session or something. And the button is below the video and I can click that button and that takes me to the page where I'm able to then schedule the discovery call with a member of the team that gets me into the selling process. And so there are these proven frameworks that work for video sales letters. Where can you use video sales letters? Well, what I just described is a video to appointment funnel. And that's, in my experience, like these video sales letters and including video to appointment funnels have been used in industry after industry. They've been used in coaching. They've been used in other high ticket sales where you get across a piece of information related to a complex buying decision. And then you get people to book a call, a discovery call with a member of the team. You can use video sales letters as part of video to appointment funnels. You can use video sales letters as a supplement in a free report funnel. So if you were offering a free report and people are opting in, requesting a free report, you can also have a video sales letter that is essentially a video version of that same report on the thank you page that allows people to consume that content in multiple ways. That, again, both of those direct towards towards scheduling a specific call, a discovery call with a member of your team. You can use these for paid traffic, so Meta ads, Google ads, YouTube ads, etc. You can also use video sales letters for database marketing. All of this, you'd be pointing your traffic back into these video to appointment funnels. But if you have a solid database of maybe hundreds, maybe thousands, maybe tens of thousands of people who've reached out, depending on the size of your firm, in the past, either requesting information from you, or specifically there are people who reached out and maybe registered for or attended a workshop, didn't become a client, or had a call with a member of your team, didn't become a client, et cetera. Those, you can continue to communicate with those people unless they tell you that they're no longer interested in hearing from you. And this can be one way that you can provide valuable content to them. You can say, here is this particular valuable content on this particular challenge that people face around the types of services that we offer. Maybe it's estate planning, maybe it's taxes related to their IRA, 401k, maybe it's the Social Security thing, maybe it's whatever. Here's this valuable content, go watch it. And the content itself would then direct them towards scheduling the appointment if it makes sense for them at that time. But again, like it's just about fitting this particular media format, this particularly effective media format, into the different places that you may be communicating with your clients. And what can you expect when you try video sales letters? Well, maybe success. I say success maybe here. I don't want to promise that this is some magic pill. I don't want to promise that this is something that is going to completely blow you away and generate this unlimited amount of new discovery calls, new appointments. But what I will say is that financial advisors who are able to convey the right message to their clients in a way where they are connecting with their clients, maybe with their voice, maybe there's parts of the video sales letter that actually put the face on screen. And that message is a valuable message for those people. The people are experiencing a certain problem, and it's acknowledging the problem, acknowledging the challenge of the problem. It's offering a next step towards a solution, right? that can be a highly effective way to get people, whether they're brand new to you or whether they are from your past marketing, whether they've interacted with your business in the past, it can get them to raise their hand and say, hey, I'm interested in a conversation. I would expect to follow the test, prove, scale process, which is initially you want to test it. You want to test it in the context of maybe a small, limited paid media test. You want to test the particular video sales letter, perhaps with low-hanging fruit, such as to your database of past prospects, right? You want to test the messaging first. You want to test it in specific contexts. When it seems to be showing that it works, you can then repeat the test in order to prove, yeah, this is actually working as well as we expected, or you can branch that test out a little bit. And then when you do find a video sales letter that is actually working, one of the wonderful things about this kind of digital media is it tends to be very, very scalable. And so if you have a video sales letter that's working very well to, for example, meta traffic that's going out on Facebook ads, Instagram ads, and the different places that meta ads can show up, and it's working for you, you can potentially scale that significantly. But again, you want to do it in the context of a controlled test, something that is, that you're not risking too much just to get a sense of life. And I will say that from the marketers who are in the financial services space who are using this, they're experiencing the cost of appointments being very competitive with other different media formats when they're actually talking about paid media to acquire, to do lead generation, to do client acquisition. The cost of getting someone to raise their hand and to schedule an appointment through video sales letters with the right video sales letters can be very, very competitive. So in wrapping up, if you feel like you're inspired by this, if you feel like you got some insight, if you feel maybe like you do want to try this, I would encourage you to subscribe so you get more content like this delivered to you. Like, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff that you do. You can find me on LinkedIn. I'm at Roy Furr. That's ROYFURR, at Roy Furr. If you want to know, is this strategy a fit for you? Does it fit? How could it fit within your specific marketing strategy, your specific marketing plans? When does it make sense to launch a video sales letter? I do offer a service where I can work with you to develop a marketing plan that can include, for example, trying new things like a video sales letter and seeing how it could be a fit. You can go to TheAdvisorCMO.com/strategy. Again, that's TheAdvisorCMO.com/strategy if you would like to check that service out. Again, I'm Roy Furr. This is Daily Discovery Calls for Financial Advisors, the first and only podcast dedicated exclusively to helping you book discovery calls with your ideal clients every day of the week. I'm the Advisor CMO, and I will see you again in the next episode. See you soon. Thanks for tuning into this episode of Daily Discovery Calls for Financial Advisors. If you got value from this episode, I'd absolutely love it if you do me the favor of sharing it with one other person who you think would also find it valuable. It's how the show can grow and how I can keep bringing this value to you. And if you want to learn more about how you can book more discovery calls with your ideal clients, go to TheAdvisorCMO.com/podcast